Welcome everyone to another episode of Life Stories Unscripted podcast. I'm your host Viviane and I'm a doula, breastfeeding specialist, and a mama coach, and I talk about everything related to preconception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and everything in between. So if you're a parent or you're trying to be one, this is the podcast for you, so stay tuned. Today I'm talking to Petra Antosova from Czech Republic, who is a mama of 3 and whose first unplanned pregnancy happened in Ethiopia. We're going to talk about the cultural differences she faced, how she overcame them, and then we're going to talk about her 3 amazing but yet very different birth stories. If you've seen some of my previous episodes and you enjoyed them, please hit the subscribe button now so me and you can share Petra's story together. As always, this podcast is sponsored by Perfecta Placenta, located in Beverly Hills, which is a placenta preserving company. So if you would like your miracle organ to be preserved and get a stretch mark cream and a diaper bag as a gift from me, use my promo code Doula Viviane. And for more information, I can be reached either via Facebook or LinkedIn under my name, Viviane Shima, or via my email address, which is birthwithviviane@gmail.com. I'll be excited to hear from you. Without any more chit chat from me, let's talk to Petra. Hi Petra, It's so nice to have you today. I'm very, very excited to hear your 3 amazing birth stories and, dive in with you into that.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm excited and also a little bit nervous about sharing the stories because I haven't done so like this, only with the closest friends. So it's a bit new for me.
I understand. And again, I express my deepest gratitude to everyone who came on to this show to share a piece of their intimate world, because it is very intimate, it is very personal. So thank you for coming on air and telling us a little bit more about this, because I think your story will inspire others and will help others. So, and that's the main message of this podcast. So, Petra, why don't you tell us something a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and about your 3 amazing birth stories.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Petra. I come from Prague, from the capital of the Czech Republic. This is where I spent most of my life. But yeah, well, most, maybe like, yeah, 3/3, because I've been also traveling a lot. So I've been living here and there. My last work station, actually living station, was in Ethiopia. That's where my partner is from. So we have 3 small, they're growing bigger actually. I still tend to, I guess they will always be small for me, but we have 3 boys. They are 10, 8, and 5 years old. And actually, I think this is an extra layer, of also like that gives some background to my story, because we are an international couple, and my first son was actually not born, but he happened to be born inside me in Ethiopia, and I spent most of my first pregnancy in there, which was really interesting experience for me and for us both. And I currently live back in Czech Republic. I'm actually 41. I'm gonna turn 42 soon, and I like talking about my age more and more actually, because a lot has changed for me since I reached this point of becoming 40. And one of the big change is that I started looking for a home. So I have been living a very nomadic life for some, and now I feel home back in Czech. We live close to Prague in a village. We are building our small, tiny wooden house, and we got a dog, and we are living this kind of romantic, yeah, for an Ethiopian in a Czech village, really great experience.
Ethiopia, wow, that must have been, I didn't know. Did you experience some cultural challenges during your pregnancy, you being from Czech Republic?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Many actually. Yeah, first of all, I have to say that because I didn't talk about my profession. I spent most of my working life professional life working for different non-governmental organizations in area of development, education, and emergency work. So that would also made me traveling a lot for my work. So I was working on a different managerial and coordination position. But nowadays also the shift, like when I became 40 and I decided to return back home to my original country, I also shifted like professionally or profession wise. So I started coaching more. I did my training some years back, but now this is really what makes sense for me. I work mostly with women. I organize also retreats for women. I work as a coach, and I aim at really like helping, especially like when it comes to working women for their work-life balance. So those busy moms who are their own company, owners, so who have small companies, who run their business and struggle for like looking for the right balance between being there for their kids and themselves and their business. So that's what I do mostly now. But you were asking about the cultural differences. There were many actually. I didn't plan to become a parent at that time, even though my age, I had the age for that.
Right.
Definitely, I was
Yeah.
30. So, but it was unplanned. So it was a little bit of surprise. And then being in a faraway country without like the women of your, from your family and the friends being far away, I really felt unprepared. So there were a lot of things that were quite shocking or surprising for me. Definitely healthcare in Ethiopia, even though I was living in the capital at that time in Addis Ababa. So there we had a choice of like different international hospitals, but still like the standards were different, like when it comes to like general approach, but also the kind of equipment they had and all that. So I had to say, because I'm not very, as you will hear later on, I'm not, I don't have much trust in doctors, and becoming pregnant and seeing that most of the women, pregnant women, are treated like patients.
Mhm.
I was really struggling a lot with that. So I was, as I said, I was unprepared. I didn't know much. And then people started treating me like, oh, something's wrong. You need to go to that medical check, and you need to have this ultrasound and so on. I was really confused. So at the end of the day, I really relied on the support from our family, from my partner's mom and grandmother, who herself gave birth to 14 kids. Can you imagine?
You said 14.
1 4, yeah.
Wow.
She's a totally amazing woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had the support, right, from her, I imagine.
Yeah, from them I definitely had, like from the women in his family, and I ended up just going to the local doctors that they knew, that the local women were using, rather than going to the expat places and hospitals. So this was certainly like very very interesting experience. But I just want to mention like one interesting thing. What was really different, I believe, was there is a lot of like smells that we are not used to in Europe. Yeah, like when it comes to cooking, a lot of spicy food, a lot of kind of, you can smell like raw meat, because they don't have like fridges, mostly in the market. And those smells, like I think I would never experience something like this living in Prague, because it's really, like everything is kind of hidden, but there it was kind of raw. And in those first months of pregnancy,
Mhm.
I have to say I was suffering a lot with those different smells, especially the cooking that came from cooking that they do a lot.
That is very fascinating, like little things that we don't think about prior becoming pregnant, but then it hits us in the face when we're pregnant because we're so sensitive. We are, scent sensitive, and we just smell the tiniest, sense of spices that we are not used to from our home country. I love how the human body works. I love how the human body just heightens these senses for you to essentially keep you safe, to radar, um, to keep on the radar. Like, okay, this is a new scent. Be aware. It might not be poisonous, but be aware. And obviously, the nausea and just getting used to that you're hosting a baby in your belly,
Mm.
all that.
This is very interesting for me actually also that when I left to work in Ethiopia, this was supposed to be for many years. Like I didn't have the intention to return after a year. But then when I got pregnant and all those things started like unfolding, I realized that I just really felt I was sure that I would like to give a birth to my first kid in my country.
Mhm.
I felt I needed that support. Like I really at that time I was missing like having friends, who I've been knowing for a long time. Like even like I don't know the culture. Like I've been really good always traveling, and I never felt very strong ties to my own country. It was a journey really to kind of find home. I'm just establishing it here in the midst of, in the middle of my life, perhaps. But this, I was certain I want to be there. So I moved back to Czech Republic, whenever it was the limit for being able to travel
Yeah.
back. So it was like 7 weeks before the delivery. I moved back, and my partner followed me like 2 weeks later. So he was also here for the delivery.
Wonderful. So how was your experience, Petra? Your
Hmm.
wedding experience?
Yeah. I had like basically three different experiences. Because our sons were born quite like soon after another. Like actually, when the third one was born, the first one was 4.5. So a lot of like intense experiences when it comes to those 4 years being pregnant, breastfeeding, giving birth. And the first one was exceptional because it was first. As I said, I was not the woman who would be preparing for that for a long time. I didn't expect it. I didn't plan that, so I didn't study before that. And as I was outside of my country, I didn't have much time. So I got recommendations from my good friends. I belong to this, you can say the tribe of alternative women, how they call us here, yeah. So I just have to. This is a disclaimer. I'm not very like yeah. As I said, I have a fear from my childhood from hospitals. I don't have this big trust into the doctors, and it was interesting to see once I was pregnant this trust in myself and my body and what it can do, and that it can deliver the child naturally
Mhm.
was growing inside me. And this basically led me, I will already kind of give a little bit of taste for the what happens next. It led me basically to deliver at home the second and the third child. So with the first one, I just went to those alternative women and I asked them, okay, what's going on here, guys? What's good? What hospitals would you recommend
Yeah.
where they would give me more space for delivering the way I want and I feel I can, like without a lot of medical, without a lot of like treatment, like if it's possible. So I delivered outside of Prague in a small town called Milnik, where at that time they had some really nice, how do you say this main doctor, the management of the hospital was quite open for natural deliveries, and also the communication with them was quite nice and open. So we used to be going there like a few weeks before the delivery, and at the end of the day, the experience was really nice because they let me really like the moment was at like it came at night, It's a small hospital, so there were not many women giving birth at that time. I think at that particular time, I was alone in the whole hospital, which kind of, enabled also the staff to be more, quiet and concentrated. And they really like what was important for me is not to receive any medicaments if possible, and have private, like care, having one person there and not like 5 or 10 if it's possible, having my partner there, and like giving us time to go through the process, not being pushed and advised and so on. And this is what they actually did. It was possible. It was made possible, and I had really actually a very positive and nice experience delivering at hospitals. So I'm definitely not the one who would say like, oh, you should never go to the hospital. That's nonsense. Yeah, but I felt that I can do it. But of course, the first experience, I didn't have much knowledge and experience primary experience with delivery. So I was happy that I found a hospital where they were open to hear me and kind of let me go through the process as I needed it.
I absolutely am with you on this. And I love how you just, because you said it came as a surprise that you were in your childbearing years, but you did not really feel it. You did not really prepare or like, plan for a family necessarily, but it just happened and you accepted that. But I love how you just blended everything together so it would work for you and the baby and everyone
Mm.
else essentially. Because I there's a lot of women who have very similar stories to you. They did not plan it, they didn't know who to turn to, who to ask. But I think that what you did was following your intuition and listening
Mm.
to your body and what your mind was telling you. Like, I'm into alternative. I know women who are into alternative. Let me talk to them. Let me tell them and let me listen to them, what they think, what they would do or what they did. And if it resonates with me, I'll do the same and we'll see. And again, like you said, first experience, it's you've never done this. You don't know what to expect. And
Mm.
it can be very hard on women. The first experience can be very hard, especially when they encounter something that does not resonate with them. A hospital full of people, or or almost a forced delivery because they didn't
Mm.
want to wait for the natural process to take place. So
Mm.
I love that
Mm.
from the little research that you did, you did just enough. And I love that just to, for women to realize that they're enough, that they're doing enough,
Mm.
and
Mm.
that what they're doing right now is the best that they are doing. Because if they would know how to do better, they would. And I love
Yeah,
it. I love this
exactly. Yeah,
message that you just gave us.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
yeah. Thank you for summarizing this, because I think, this acceptance, like me, especially in those times when I was pregnant and had small babies, this was a topic for me, because I was very shocked how it works here in our country. I cannot say elsewhere. Like, I have friends elsewhere, like Czech friends living in Sweden, in Finland, in France. So I have some comparison who delivered their babies in those countries. But what I know the most is the Czech system. And I was horrified, I really, because I was part of that alternative tribe, as I make fun of it a bit, but because this is actually not an alternative, right? It's a really strange kind of thing, that it became such an alternative, but it's actually a lot of what those women are calling for is natural, normal,
It's normal.
healthy
Yes.
delivery. Yeah, like we are talking
Yes.
about something that has been standard for thousands of years. Women knew how to deliver, yeah, before all the technology and doctors started interfering too much, and before
Yeah.
we started playing with, you know, our health and reproductive health and so on. So this is kind of, yeah, funny, but I just wanted to say that what has been the important message, hearing the different stories of the different women, and a lot of them not being that positive, you know, like a lot of, you know, c-sections that are maybe not necessary, a lot of, yeah, forced moments that the women later regret. I think the acceptance is really the key, because like what I really experienced being a mother, like three times to three kids, and delivering three times, is that every single birth was different, as every child is different. Like I have three boys myself, and people, like, you know, generalizing, you know, oh, you have boys, so they eat a lot. You know, we have those stereotypes. But each of them is like completely different personality, of course. Yeah, like the gender tells you so little. So also the birth stories are different, and the ways, you know, I somehow believe that it's not the birth is kind of magical, yeah, process. Like it's not only you and how you prepare for it, or what kind of care you have, but then it's what the child, you know, brings to this process, and what is their kind of way to be born. And it's a lot of other issues like stepping in, and it's really a process where the acceptance and kind of, you know, being in peace, like with whatever comes, is really, I think, a key. You know, it's the stress, it's the hassle, it's the non-accepting and kind of refusing things that makes a lot of women, you know, stuck, and not being able to go through the birth like natural, in a kind of, you know, they lose the flow, of course, because there is so much stress also coming from outside, but also within.
Yes, yes, yes. You captured it all in one sentence, that not accepting and refusing, even though it's something you don't want, which is okay, it can stall the birth. It can stall the process. It can distress the baby because the baby feels you. The baby is
Mhm.
in you. The baby communicates with you, and babies communicate via intuition, via signals. Because honestly, they don't have anything else. They don't know how to talk
Mm.
yet. So what else
Yeah.
are you gonna do, right?
Mm.
And I think yes, accepting it and letting it through, letting it penetrate you, the feelings, and
Mm.
even the fear you have. Because I think allowing the feelings to flow is really the key to, to process and
Mm.
to acknowledge and to let go
Mm.
and to
Mm.
navigate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then to, like, also hear like the kind of guidance that you have, you know, like really there is some wisdom definitely, yeah, in your body, in a woman's body, but also like from what we get from, you know, generations of women before us who were able to make this. And like a lot of us are just close to it from different reasons. And this fact that birth is treated as something that requires a special care, and where there are so many risks, kind of overshades, you know, everything else, and it makes a lot of women disconnected actually from those signals of their body, and that would lead them to a natural process. So it's a kind of circle, and it's really a pity also, you know, that in especially in our country, um or in, yeah, even in countries around me, what I've heard is that a lot of those birth stories that you hear from your moms and grannies and are negative, yeah, are exactly in this kind of line of, you know, it was horrible, like I am happy that I survived and that the baby survived. And like what my mom told me about what I knew from my mom was that this is something scary, super risky, like it will make you very, like, being pregnant will make you very uncomfortable, like you need to compromise a lot, and at the end of the day, if the baby is getting out safe and you are alive, like, gosh, that's the overall achievement. And this was the narrative, like, I've been raised and living in, and this is what creates a lot of trouble to us and to a society, because of course, having kids, that's a huge role, right? For women in the whole society. So, like, yeah, this is something that I've been observing, and I've been just puzzled why why do we do this to ourselves, because it has a huge impact.
Right. And it's not just you who is observing this. It's the women who themselves receive that information from their moms or family relatives or friends. You just wait until the pain kicks in, and then the only thing you'll want is an epidural. These type of unsolicited advice, which I find it's not resourceful, it's not helpful, because every woman, every pregnancy, and every baby are different, and we cannot compare those in any instances. We just can't. And yes, and I love how you observe this, because it is true. And then the saddest thing though is that we don't really realize this, because oftentimes we receive this information that is not resourceful to us later in life, very early in our childhood, and we grow with it, and the information grows with us and becomes more deeply rooted, and it's very hard to recognize that it's there, because it's been a part of us for such a long time. But I think recognizing it and acknowledging this is something foreign, this is not truly my belief, this is something that is limiting me, that is hindering me. And I think it's very important for women to to spot this, to notice it before, because then the whole pregnancy and birth can be joyful, can be happy, even if you have nausea, and even if you don't have one of the easiest pregnancies. Physiologically, it doesn't have to be that easy, but mentally, I think the mental and spiritual preparedness is very important, because the things you think then actively um they actively affect the outcome of how a situation, of how we form a situation around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And what just came to my mind is that you need support. Like, you need to be surrounded by ideally women in this case, because I really, even though I am like alternative and kind of in a way that I'm open to a lot of like experiments, and my partner actually took like, he was there for the first birth. He was not there for the second and third. I somehow felt really that this is I just want to be alone, or with another woman. But this would be different for other people, but or other women. That's okay. But what I meant to say is that it's important not to be alone, like in the time of pregnancy, and when you are preparing for the birth, because there is really a lot of like wisdom, and a lot of like, I think the stories are very powerful. And also the care, like, you when you're pregnant, when you're breastfeeding, like those first 6 weeks, and all that, like, you need to be protected. Like, this is really a special time in your life. And in our culture, it's not treated this way. Like, who talks about the first 6 weeks? Like, usually, again, you hear, yeah, you are going to be emotionally unstable, and everything is going to be new. It's going to be really difficult, but then it's going to be gone, and it's going to be okay. But those weeks are so important, and not only for the baby, but especially for the mother, yeah, who needs to be cared of, who needs to be, well fed, who needs to sleep, have rest, and have emotional support to be able to also later on like become a good mother. And you know, there is this I don't know if it's African or I don't know from somewhere else, but there is a proverb, right, that it takes a village to raise a child. And the same for like the time of when the woman is pregnant. In a lot of the cultures, and I experienced this in Ethiopia, like you really have a special status. Like it's really a big deal to be pregnant, you know, for your body, for the people around you. There's a lot of things happening inside and outside, and in Ethiopia, this is really treated that way. So pregnant women have a special status. They always have a group of women around them who are there to support them, see whether what they need, you know, what the special, cook special meals, you know, special drinks. They really make sure that the woman has everything when it comes to mental health as well as her body and nutrition. And after the birth, they are always there. Like this is what I've seen, you know, our aunt or somebody from a family giving birth, and then for 3 4 weeks she was just lying down in bed, and she had 5 women visiting her, bringing food, you know, taking care of the husband, who is also confused. You know, it's not supposed to be you who are a new mother to make sure that your husband is okay and he has something to eat. Like you are the one who needs to receive care. So this is, I think, what we are also lacking and missing like badly in our culture, that we stay alone like in those important moments, you know. Even from our mothers, very often we don't have that support. And we talked about the negative stories and all that. So what helped me in particular is to find this supportive group. Yeah, I started going to one center where I met the midwives. I met other professionals who were able to give me also really like a professional technical support. But I also made friends, you know, with women who were pregnant, who were at the same stage of pregnancy, who we could prepare for that together. And I think this was a key, like key to success of my like success, what I call success, you know, nice delivery that I had later on. That even though I had a short time for preparation, I kind of focused on having this group of supportive friends who could provide, you know, guidance and led me to, you know, I felt really supported and I could rely on their advice, and then, you know, I could concentrate on my issues and my, you know, transformation. So this has really like I see this as the key, and I know many women go through this alone, and then it's difficult. Like I don't think you can do this alone. Yeah.
It's very isolating here, and thank you for sharing your experience from Ethiopia, because it is just wonderful to hear that, you know, you're a person who was always intuitive and had an inkling to alternative, to natural, or, you know, what is today recognized as an alternative, but is really just natural.
Mm.
That you were able to see that in Ethiopia, despite the cultural challenges that you faced as well, like, you know, the cooking and the cuisine, the smells. I think it was a blessing and a curse in one, because it gave you, I think, reassurance. And I think that it opened new doors for you in terms of how it could be for me and how it could be for me in Czech Republic. Because it is very
Okay.
isolating. You're right. Women, even during pregnancy, are very isolated already. And then the first 6 weeks are very isolating. And sometimes, you know, you struggle. And it's normal because it's your first baby. And even if it's not your first baby, you can still struggle and it's still okay. But I think to have the support system is so important. And I love how you describe that the pregnant woman was in the center and the whole tribe was around her that
Mm.
consisted of women, because it's physical protection, literally, but it's also mental support, to know
Mm.
that we're always here for you and you're not in this alone. We'll help you go through this. We'll help you birth the baby, but also raise the baby. And I
Mm.
love how you describe this, so beautiful. Thank you, Petra, so much for, shedding a bit light on this, because I've never been to Ethiopia. But just seeing it with your own eyes, or someone telling you what you saw, especially a person who was, from Europe or from a very vastly different country, uh,
Mm.
and vastly different culture and everything that goes with it. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing this. This will be so helpful. I'm
Mhm.
just, yeah, so excited that
Mhm.
were willing to share this with us. Tell us,
Yeah.
what was your experience with your home births? How was it compared to a hospital birth?
Mm. Yeah, well, it was different, of course. As I said, like even when I was pregnant for the first time, I felt I am able, I am ready, I'm made for like natural delivery. I can do that. Um, I didn't have any kind of limitations or problems, like medical wise. Everything went fine. Um, and I think the mental kind of preparedness was a key that I was myself, like I felt confident that I can do that. And after the first experience in the hospital where everything went fine, like I really have positive experience. But there were some things that I was not happy with, like especially after the child was born. Like as I said, I'm not a person who likes to be in a hospital, and the first few days when I had to be there, I just didn't have that support that I felt I would have at home. And like when you are alone and you are with I had midwife, so when I am with someone who knows me like before the birth and after, who I really trust, I just felt so much different. So that was like one of the reasons why I decided to go for home delivery like later on. It's actually illegal in the Czech Republic, so this is up to you to deal with that issue. But it's I will not talk about that part, but I can say that I had support, like professional support. There was a midwife who was with me for the second and third delivery. So she is a woman who knew me. Like I started like seeing her when I was like maybe in the third, or in the second at the beginning of the second trimester. So and so she
Congratulations.
really knew me. Yes, it had a good result. So this was very important that I had someone who went through the process of being pregnant, delivering, starting breastfeeding. She knew my health, like she knew my family. Like this was so essential, and this was a big benefit for me, like delivering at home. And then, of course, because I felt healthy, fit, and ready, I didn't expect any problems. Then not having this extra hassle of having to leave home, and going to a strange environment where you don't know who will be there to see you, what your bed will look like what kind of music you will be able to play if you want to play music when through the birth. Like this was a great bonus for me, of course. So since I had this experience of everything going smooth the first time with the support of my midwife and my tribe, as I call them, and because the second birth, that was the first home birth, I organized everything like really well in advance. So I had friends like making shifts basically, coming every day, bringing something that they cooked or baked, or bringing some delivery from a restaurant. So I didn't have to look like, of course, my partner was there, so he was also cooking. But, it was also that somebody came for an hour, had a chat with me, and so on. That was very important. So So it was different in this respect. Of course, it was much more comfortable since there was no health complications. I would like to say this, like the home delivery is not for everyone. Yeah. And I think like being healthy, having really everything being, in a good place during the pregnancy, and then feeling inside, you were talking about this intuition. I think the woman has to be 100% sure. Like there are many women I spoke to who are like, yeah, I would love to do it, but I am scared, or, I am afraid something can happen. Like, don't do that, it's like never do that if you're not sure, And since I felt like this is the best way for me, and I didn't have any kind of, shadow of some worry, that's why I did it, and it was a great experience because I was able to be in my own space, with my own people that I selected to be there, that I trusted. I was able to prepare my own food. I didn't have the hassle to take a car and travel somewhere far and deliver in the car. Some friends also had this experience, and so it was very peaceful. And I was in much better, like, what I remember from my two home deliveries is really that it was peaceful. Like it was nice. I was at home. Nobody was there. I managed to also secure the other kids, like, for the second and the third. They were not at home. So I was alone in the apartment. When I felt like this is the time, I called my midwife who was there to support me through the process. I didn't feel like I want to have my partner there, and he was okay with that, but he was waiting at the door. So once the child was out, he came and he was the first one to cuddle him. So it was a great experience that like I sometimes I feel bad talking about how beautiful it was. It was, because a lot of women have not that nice experience, but I think at the same time it's important to talk about it, that this is possible, and I'm like totally like regular person, I'm not I didn't do anything extra like during the pregnancy. Of course, like there's a lot of mental, spiritual work, of course, like you really need to work on yourself a bit, right? But apart from that, yeah, I was eating healthy, that I always do, and so on. But I'm not a superwoman, and I was able to deliver like our grandmothers and a lot of women before us were able to do. And I really I really believe that like one thing is the child, of course, it definitely impacts, like the way you come to this world. Somehow, of course, it makes a footprint, obviously, but again, like if it was in a hospital, if it was C-section, if it was not that nice, this is okay, like we should not bring those regrets, and it doesn't help. It was just the way, we are back to the acceptance we were talking about. But I'm happy that my kids have this kind of footprint, and what I have to say that it was very transformational for me. Like this was the moment for me that I realized, how strong I am as a woman, how much I can do. Like I really, I became a kind of witch in a good sense, in the best sense. I realized, how powerful I am. Like really being able to deliver myself a healthy way, healthy child, naturally, without support of any medical stuff or treatment, or receiving any treatment. So yeah, this is how simple it was. When somebody asks me how it was and they are expecting those exciting stories, I just say, what? Like I felt it coming, a lot of disclaimer, a lot of work beforehand. But then when it came, I felt prepared, I felt confident, I felt like content. I was at home, and I felt it coming. I called my midwife. I ate a little bit. I prepared. I listened to the music, and it went smoothly. It went long. I had long deliveries. It was not. I didn't experience like this orgasmic, birth. Or I have to say, it was really a lot of pain, and it was not easy. It took long, but it was peaceful because it was in my own pace, and I was really kind of, content that this is what I was conscious, that this is now what is going on. I was in the process. So it was fantastic. So my experience with home birth is very nice and positive because it was the way I chose. This was my choice, my own choice. And what was difficult, what the possible risks were, I really took the responsibility over it, and I enjoyed it the way I wanted and I prepared for. But it was a lot of work, of course, to reach that point and be able to. But I take it as a really a gift and a great gift to my kids and myself, to our life together.
I love it. And I love the message you said that, that how far mental preparedness can go. And I think every mom is a superwoman. I think they truly are. And I
Yeah.
think it's important to normalize and to realize that every birth is natural. We, in a hospital setting, we just tend to make it a little bit medical, um, especially the staff, but it's still a natural birth and it shouldn't be taken away from you. And every mom is a superhero. So thank you,
Absolutely.
Petra, so much for sharing your story. This was absolutely wonderful. And please tell us, where can people find you? Where can people reach you?
For the English speaking, I'm mostly on LinkedIn actually. For the English speaking world, I'm mostly on LinkedIn. My name is Petra Antosova, which is might be a bit difficult, but people can definitely find me there, and we can make some, we can put some link to my profile under this podcast, if it's possible. I also have a web page with my name, petraantosova.com. And as you know, as I move with like my children are already bigger, and now like my main kind of topic is how to run my own business like in a kind of sustainable way, like being able to still keep my mental health and the peace I experienced during the birth, and it is important in my life. I'm also I teach mindfulness, and I do practice mindfulness and yoga has been like really key for me to kind of be in this state of mind that I am in, experiencing also the birth I did experience. And so I am now exploring and working with other women on this very topic, like how to really be for yourself, like a good mom, good woman who has time for herself, but feels good when she is with kids and is able to spend time with kids, but also run her own business. So this is my topic that I talk about now, and support other women with. So happy to extend the net to network and extend the tribe of the similar minded.
Thank you so much, Petra, for today. And again, it was such a pleasure having you. I'm very grateful that you were willing to share a piece of your intimate world and also the cultural challenges and everything that went with it. So thank you. And for everyone who's watching, I hope you gained more clarity, that Petra was able to give you more answers. And yeah, thank you, Petra.
Thank you very much, Viviane, for having me for this podcast, and looking forward to seeing more episodes. And good luck with all. And thank you for your work. Take care.
So what do you think? That was Petra's story. I really enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button now so me and you can share Petra's birth story together. If you're a mama just like Petra is, or you're a doula, midwife, EFT practitioner, a health coach, or a spiritual healer, and you have a story you'd like to share with me and the rest of the world, or you know of someone who has a story they'd like to share, I can be reached either via Facebook or LinkedIn under my name, which is Viviane Shima, or via my email address, which is birthwithviviane@gmail.com. So don't hesitate and reach out to me. I want to hear from you. That is it for me for now, and stay tuned until next time. Bye!